So I need to be honest with you about something straight away. Photographic memory, as in you look at something once and it's burned into your brain perfectly forever, is actually not real. Scientists have been searching for verified cases in adults for decades, and they basically cannot find any evidence that you can develop this skill. I know, very terrible way to start a video about how to unlock photographic memory, but yeah, I'm sorry. However, this is a very important but. What science has found is that memory is actually trainable, like genuinely measurably trainable. And the students with good memory aren't born that way. They're just good at doing a few specific things without even realizing. And once you understand what those things are and why they work, you can do them on purpose. So that's what this video is. Part 1 is going to be a quick explanation of how memory works, because if you don't understand how the mechanism of memory works, the techniques make no sense. Part 2, we're going to be discussing the actual techniques, specific step-by-steps that you can take in order for you to start doing it. Let's get straight into it. So when you learn something new, your brain forms a connection between neurons, a memory trace. And here is the thing about that connection. It starts incredibly weak, barely there. And if you don't do anything to strengthen it, your brain will prune it away. Why? Because your brain is very, very efficient. It's a very, very efficient part of our human biology. It's constantly deciding what's worth keeping and what's worth discarding. And the way it decides is by asking one simple question. How often are you going to be using this? If it sees something once that you will probably never come back to, your brain will conclude it as it not being important and therefore removes it. This is the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. A scientist called Erwin Ebbinghaus mapped this out in 1885. He spent years memorizing nonsense syllables and tracking how fast he forgot them. And he found that within the first 24 hours of learning something, you tend to forget 70% of it, and within a week, it's closer to 90% gone. So when you cram the night before and you walk into exam feeling okay, and then you forget everything a week later, that's not a you problem. That's just how your brain works by default when you expose yourself to information once. The goal of every technique in part 2 in this video is to change that default. That is the variable that we can control, to trick your brain into thinking that the information matters so it holds on to it. So in order to get that photographic memory, there are actually 3 ways that you could train your brain to do that. First is repetition over time. Second is retrieval over recognition. And the third is encoding it deeply in the first place. Everything I'm about to show you maps to one of these 3 things. Alright, starting with technique number 1, active recall. This is probably one of the most important ones, so I'm putting this first, and I'm sure you guys already know this technique. Most students study by rereading notes, slides, textbooks, and rereading feels productive because when your eyes pass over information, your brain goes, okay, I recognize that. And that feeling registers as you knowing. But the problem is, recognition and recall are completely different things, and memory is a skill of recall, not recognition. Recognition is identifying something when it's already in front of you. You notice how whenever you study and you read a bunch of text, you're like, okay, I get this topic, but then you don't remember it later. That is what most students get wrong. They get the recognition part, they don't get the recall part. Recall is producing information from your brain from literally nothing, on demand, under pressure, which is, exactly what an exam is. So if you only ever practice recognition, you're just training for a test that actually doesn't exist. So this is why active recall flips this. After every study session, you have to close everything and you have to try and retrieve everything you just learned. Blank page notes, just write down everything you can remember. Then you check whatever you missed. That is where the gap is, and that is where you go back to. A study published in Science found that students who practiced retrieval after learning retained 50% more information a week later compared to students who just reread. 50% more, that's crazy, just by applying a specific recall technique. So practically, for the last 10 minutes of every study session, get yourself a blank page and write everything you remember. That's it. Just write everything you remember from the study onto the blank page. That is a habit you can apply to your study techniques. Now, real quick, we are currently at an economy where just AI is everywhere, automation's everywhere, and I feel like if you were to learn a skill or a hobby, now is the time to do it. The students who are actually winning and getting ahead of the curve is not just your high-performing students anymore. They're the ones with an all-rounded resume, and this is where Skillshare comes in. If you didn't know, Skillshare is an online learning platform with thousands of classes that you can do on your free time. Stuff like video editing, AI marketing, and even stuff like cooking, painting. I even have Skillshare on my iPad, so whenever I have the free time, I just watch while doing something, and I watch something like a cooking class. And right now I'm taking a cooking class, and I feel like it's just so much value compared to just doom scrolling. So recently I've been taking a class by Chef Rudakova. It's called Culinary Education 101. Basically, she teaches how to, think like a chef and the different, essentials of food and cooking. And I don't know, I've just been so into cooking, and I've always just wanted to learn more than just recipes, like how each food actually works, how different flavors affect the food. And just this is so comprehensive, by the way. And I've been watching this every time I cook. So every time I'm cooking, I just put the iPad on the side and I'll be watching and I'll be learning something new every day. So if you want to learn a valuable skill or improve one of your own, then head down to the link in the description, and the first 500 people to use the link below will get 20% off their first year of Skillshare. You can scan this QR code or you can check the link in the description. Again, thank you Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Technique number 2 is spaced repetition. So now that we know that your brain forgets on a predictable schedule, thanks to Ebbinghaus, spaced repetition works by reviewing information on an equally predictable schedule right before you're about to forget it. So every time you successfully recall something, your brain strengthens that neural connection, and the next review gets pushed further into the future. So the schedule goes roughly like this: review 1 day after learning, then 3 days, then a week, then 2 weeks, then a month. Each successful recall buys you more time before you need to review again. And if you fail a review, the interval resets. So harder things come back more often, easier things less often. The system itself is very self-correcting. Now, you don't need to track this yourself. You can just download apps like Anki. It does it automatically for you, free on the desktop, although it's paid on iPhone for some reason. But anyway, you make the cards, you rate how well you remember each one, and it handles the scheduling for you. That is the entire thing. Now, I'm not going to tell you that Anki is fun all the time. It is. Most of the time it's work, but for subjects that need a lot of memorization, sciences, history, languages, in my case, dental medical school, it is one of the highest leverage tools that you can have. 10 to 15 minutes a day, consistently, and trust me, the compounding effect is insane. All right, tip number 3 is the memory palace. So this one sounds a bit more dramatic and a bit more, science, pseudoscience-y, but it's actually been around since ancient Greek for a reason. The memory palace, or the method of loci, is what Roman operators used to memorize hours-long speeches without notes. It's what people with good memory use to memorize a deck of shuffled cards under 2 minutes. And the reason why it works is because your brain is dramatically better at spatial and visual memory than it is at abstract information like text and numbers. So this technique just converts boring information into a format your brain was already built to handle. So here is how you can do it. So step number 1 is to pick a location you know extremely well. Your house, your school, the route you walk every morning, somewhere you can mentally walk through in detail. Step number 2 is to identify specific spots along that route. Your front door, your hallway, your kitchen, your living room, and so on. These are what we call your loci. Step number 3, take whatever you need to memorize and turn each piece into a vivid, specific, slightly ridiculous image, because the weirder the better for some reason. I don't know, it just works like that. Your brain will remember things that are visually bizarre more than the things that are normal. Step number 4 is to mentally place an image at one of your spots and just really visualize there. So for example, let's say I'm trying to visualize doxycycline, which is a specific antibiotic. Okay, I'm gonna imagine it in the front door of my room. And when you need to recall, you just need to walk through that location in your head and the image is there. Another example, let's say we're trying to memorize planets in order. So Mercury, Venus, Mars. I walk through my front door and there's a tiny floating thermometer. I'll call that Mercury. I walk through the hallway and there's a giant Venus statue holding my school bag. And then I step into the kitchen and there's an actual Earth sitting on my fridge next to the leftovers. I get to the living room and there's a chocolate bar over there, and that's where I associate with Mars. God damn it, that sounds really weird. This takes a little bit of practice to get smooth, but once it clicks, it's genuinely one of the most powerful memorization tools that you can use, especially for ordered lists, sequence, and definitions. And finally, technique number 4 is to encode it properly in the first place. So this technique is more about fixing the problem of upstream, not just how you review, but how you actually take information to begin with. You can't just use the techniques that I mentioned before without actually understanding it. Because the thing is, your brain doesn't store information in the format you receive it in. It encodes it. It converts it into something that can actually hold, which is usually a combination of meaning and association. And most students just encode information really badly. They just copy the notes word for word. They end up highlighting things without actually processing them. They end up listening to lectures, but then they also think about what they have for lunch, which is kind of what I do sometimes. So there are 3 steps to fixing this. Before you write anything down, pause and ask, what does this actually mean? What does it mean? What am I studying? What am I reading? Just ask yourself that. Like, it's so simple. Just ask yourself, do I understand what I'm reading? And then you ask yourself, how does this connect to what I'm studying or what I already know? Does this remind me of anything? Does this mean anything in the grand context of what I'm studying? Every question like this creates another retrieval path, another way for your brain to find it later. And finally, the best tip I have for you is to make it personal. Try to associate that piece of information with something personal. Your brain retains things that are more relevant to you more easily than abstract things. Connect your information to your own life, your own experiences, your own examples, even if it's a stretch. I still remember the effects of doxycycline, amoxicillin, because I've had experiences with those antibiotics when I had my dental procedures. Just a simple personal connection makes it engraved in my head already. Now, these techniques might slow you down in the short term, but trust me, you will remember what you studied, which is the entire point, and it is better in the long run. Now, the one thing, and finally I wanted to add this last point, the one thing that ties everything together, sleep. During deep sleep, your hippocampus actually replaces the day's learning and transfers it into long-term storage. This is called memory consolidation, and it cannot happen properly while you're awake. Sleep is not downtime for your brain. It's actually when your brain does actual filing. So when you stay up cramming until 3 a.m. and sleep for 4 hours, here's what actually happened to your brain. You spend hours putting information into a temporary holding area, and then you've given your brain almost no time to file any of it. The next morning, it feels like you know it because it's still in that temporary area, which is fine for exam purposes, but 3 days later, it's gone. 7 to 8 hours. Every night, especially before exams, the students who review properly during the day and sleep well will definitely outperform the students who crammed all night every time. This research is very clear on this. So here's how this works in an actual system. So for example, let's say when you're studying new material, use the encoding steps. Slow down, process it, connect it, make it personal, don't just copy. And at the end of every session, 10 minutes on a blank piece of page, active recall. Write everything you remember without looking. For ongoing review, use Anki. 15 minutes a day, let the algorithm handle the scheduling, just focus on the cards. For anything you need to memorize in order or in any sort of sequence, use your memory palace or the loci that I mentioned a while ago. Build your route and place your images. And every night, sleep. Protect it like it's part of the study, because it is. And that's the system. It won't give you photographic memory like, what people mention online, but it will give you something more useful, a reliable process that gets stronger the longer you use it. And that compounds in a way that a one-time gift of photographic memory never could. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you want to actually build this into an actual study system, I'm actually building a study community soon, so I hope you guys can get excited for that. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Good luck on your memorization. And if you want to apply it right now, like in this video, just close the video, try to conjure up what you remember from the video, and then apply it to your next study session. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!